Because then we can finish with a lighter subject.
Yeah, we'll sandwich the hard shit in between the
lighter stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. You gotta do the meat in between the bread. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about Josh. You had a list of subjects.
That's right.
And we didn't get a chance to really decide like okay, I've got this subject that I really want to talk about, so we just pulled from the list.
Right.
And I saw this and was like, I would love to talk about what it would take to believe in God.
Oh man,
this is heavy.
This is some deep shit.
Me personally, I grew up in a sort of maybe Catholic. I don't remember.
You don't even know.
I don't even really know.
More
because
of a
it wasn't
devout Christian family.
It wasn't shoved in my face.
Quasi-religious.
It was kind of like okay.
God's watching you jerk off in there, Matt.
It's like in the background, you're like, oh yeah, and we believe in God, So in a way, I grew up sort of religious, but not whoa. I'm toting the Bible everywhere I go.
I didn't grow up religious at all, which is interesting to me because
I grew up when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I spent an hour fucking individually blessing everyone before bed. Like, okay, God bless Mom, God bless Dad, God bless my sister, God bless my brother,
and my Pokemon.
God bless my uncle.
God
bless my aunt. God bless my cousin.
Bulbasaur.
God bless my other uncle.
God bless Mewtwo.
So
Pika.
Dragonite.
I didn't really go to church. The one time I ever.
Sorry, go ahead.
The one time I ever went to church, I accidentally grabbed the little wire.
Wheezing.
The one time I ever went to church was, I wasn't even paying attention. I was just reading this book, and it was a novelization of a movie. And I'll give you one guess as to what that movie was. Go.
God is not dead.
No, that movie wasn't out, and I'm really angry
recently
about that movie. And I hope that one day we can do a picture show on it because
Holy shit.
I'm so angry about that movie.
Are you really going to make me watch that
I'm
piece
so
of shit?
angry about that movie, and I just want to shout at it for an hour and a half.
All right.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God. I haven't either, but I've seen clips of it.
I know the premise, and I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay, let me see if I can guess this movie.
Guess the movie.
Let's see.
I want to know.
Guess the movie novelization that I was reading during the one time I went to church in my youth.
That would be. Hang on. Before we move on, that would be an amazing show where we say a movie title that the other person doesn't know what it is, and then they have to try and guess what the movie's about.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Yes, we will do that later.
Let's do that.
Okay, one more time. The premise is I went to church one time in my youth. I've gone a few times in my adulthood, but I went to church one time in my youth, and I wasn't paying attention. I was reading a book that was a novelization of a movie. What is that movie?
Pulp Fiction.
No.
Did they ever? I wonder if they ever did that.
The Phantom Menace.
No. I'll tell you what it was. It was Good Burger. And the best part is that was probably my third time reading it.
You're like,
Do you
oh
still
man,
have that book?
I don't think well, it might be somewhere buried in my mom's house.
If not, I might have to find that on Amazon just to read it.
Matt's like, fuck Huck Finn. This is the great American novel.
All I want to know is about Ed and Dexter and Sinbad.
Oh, Jesus. That's so funny.
Cleaning the shake machine while the shake's still in it.
I watched that movie recently, and it still holds up. It's still pretty good. It's still fucking cheesy as hell, but it still holds up.
With Mondo Burger.
Yeah.
Matt, you're going in the grinder.
Oh, my God. All right. All right.
But then I grew up. Wait.
Oh, go ahead.
When I grew up, I realized this kind of thing really isn't for me. I moved to Texas. I went to the Bible Belt. I've got people in my class, like a preacher's son, wearing button-downs and ties every day. I'm like, you want to relax, man? There was this one girl wearing fucking skirts and shit, long skirts, toting the Bible around. It's the only book I ever read. And fucking if she hears you humming a song, she's like, is that from the Bible? No? Then shut the fuck up, basically.
You're like, cool it. Read fucking Sorcerer's Stone. Calm the fuck down.
And doesn't own a
Harry Potter. Harry Potter was big around that time, right? Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't own a TV because why would she, right?
That's the devil's box.
I remember I used to think she was cute, and I tried to get to know her by going to Bible study. Really, only for getting to know her and for the free donuts.
Oh yeah, I had to go to fucking I don't even remember who it was with, but I went to somebody's youth church group or something. They showed us some dumb video that was like abstinence, and then they were like, "Here's a donut," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm hungry." And then I left. I'm like, "This is stupid."
Somewhere in my grandmother's house is a Bible with a note in the front cover from her because she gave it to me. She's like, start your spiritual journey or something like that. I'm like,
God.
Rad, whatever.
Start your spiritual journey with a man attempting to murder his own son, and then the thousands of years of rape and genocide and misogyny.
Right.
Let's do that.
So as I grew up, I was like, this isn't really for me, and it started to become less about like I believe in God and more like I believe in God when I want something, like I really need this job, so if
I
you
really want this Xbox.
So if you want to smile,
well, you know what they say. There's an old saying that says there's no atheist in the foxhole.
That's not true. That's not fucking true.
After a while,
I know it's not true, but it kind of brings up a point like.
After a while,
it gets to the point.
It gets to the point where where everybody kind of gets to, where it's like there's so much of the suffering in the world. How can a benevolent God let this happen and all that? Mm-hmm. And then it became more personal, where it was like, my ex-girlfriend left me, and it was my first heartache, and I'm like, why would you let me feel this way? I don't believe in you. You're a fucking terrible person.
Well, see,
this is what getting, and she was like Christian, so I was like, this is what believing in God gets me.
Jesus.
Well, see, it's not the religion itself I have a problem with. Yeah. I have the problem with the organized religion.
I have a problem with all of it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, all of it. I think all of it is equally ridiculous.
Well, let me tell you why. You
can tweet.
This day, now I would say, I just don't believe because it doesn't sound plausible.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't sound plausible. And
I
mean, it sounds cliche, but I'd love to see some proof.
Yeah.
Well, right, but I mean, also as a human being, I know there's some pretty outrageous stuff that happens in this world. I know I am not one to say there is or there isn't. Because how do we really know?
Right, but I mean, that's one of the. I'm an atheist. I think Matt's already kind of made that clear.
Yeah.
But
I think you've made that clear.
Well, yeah, I'll say more. I'll say more about it. I'm very open about it. I don't really give a shit. I'll tell anybody. I don't give a shit. Okay. So, fuck, you just kind of made me forget what I was gonna say.
You're an atheist.
Huh?
You're an atheist.
Yeah. Okay. But okay. So I read The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. It's a really famous atheism book that has deconverted a lot of people, which I actually recommend you read. It's really good, and it's it's easy to read. It's good, but in it he says if there's this common misconception that atheism claims, oh, we know there's no God. It's like, no, not really. He's in his book. He says, if on a scale from 1 to 7, 1 being there definitely is a God, and 7 being there definitely isn't, I'm like a 6. Right. It's most likely, I'm 99% sure there's no such thing.
Right.
I'd probably be a 4. Just in the middle, because I'm not sure.
A lot of people tend to get mad at me because I openly admit I'm an atheist, and then they're like, "Have you read the Bible?" I'm like, honestly, no.
I've read some of it,
and even my father, you know what my father looks like. My father, for those of you who don't know, and Adam, he's a big, tall, intimidating, tattooed man. At the very least, agnostic as the day is long. And even he has that says this semi-sarcastic but semi-serious you should give it a read. It's sure is something.
It sure is something. There's a common saying in the atheist community. It's like if you want someone to become an atheist, just tell them to go read the Bible. Yeah. Because it's just filled with so much contradictory information. It's filled with
and there's some ridiculous
much ridiculous shit in there. And it's funny because I feel like most atheists that I've ever talked to, I've ever interacted with, actually know a lot about the Bible. But I've always noticed that the people who are really religious, actually, most of them have never read the book. No.
Honestly, I could say that's true.
Yeah, they've never
most of the people I know,
they may have picked it up, and they might have flipped to one line, but it says this, but they've never actually sat down and read it.
I can tell you, I don't know for certain because it's not like I followed her around. But I can tell you that this girl from high school that I was talking about definitely made it clear that the Bible was the only book she ever needed to read. And
it's a long book, so I mean, it'll keep you occupied.
Carried it around all the time, said she read it multiple times. And I doubt you could find a single page where something wasn't highlighted.
There's a I can't remember who did it, but some famous person in history went through the Bible and cut out like everything immoral or something, and it said like the thing he said about it was like it made the book like really short.
That sounds familiar, but I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. It might have been. I want to say Jefferson, but I don't know if that's true or not. I think he was a deist, so that might be true. For people who don't know, deism is sort of like I believe that there's a God, but I don't believe that it's. I don't claim to know what it is. You know, it's like some force or something. Like the deism argument, which there aren't a lot of deists left, really, is like, oh, there's some kind of God, or whether it's the universe or it's some kind of force that keeps the universe intact.
The force,
but it doesn't interact. Like it doesn't give a fuck about us. It doesn't interact with us. Sort of
kind
thing.
of just life takes its course. And
right,
we're along for the ride.
Finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Much.
But I mean, we're getting a little off track because the topic is like, what would it take? And honestly,
so we've kind of discussed like where we all stand on the subject.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you're on the fence. We're both pretty much like, nope.
I just hate organized religion because I've had some experiences with organized religion that is just terrible. Yeah. Like the church,
a lot of people have.
Well, the church I went to was like very cool. Like the people were cool, but I saw like some things that were just not cool. Like, the youth leader got pregnant. She got paraded in front of the whole congregation.
I think there's a statistic
was made to apologize in front of the whole congregation.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, and that kind of put me off of
shaming.
Organized religion.
Yeah, there's shaming. There's a lot of, at least in religion too, like a lot of.
And a lot of the religious people I met were like the most judgmental motherfuckers.
Yeah, there's a lot of like sexual shaming and stuff like that.
My big thing about it, I say this all the time, is like I don't care if you're religious at all. Like,
well, yeah, it's a personal liberty.
I really don't want you to shove it in my face and make me feel bad for not being religious.
See, there you go. There's personal liberty. Don't shove it in my face. I love Christopher Hitchens, all right? But another book that you all should read, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. Christopher Hitchens' book is fucking excellent. But he was giving a speech once, and people kept asking him, like, they asked him multiple times, like, why does it matter if someone believes in God? And he's like, I really don't give a shit if you believe in God or not. He's like, but I don't want to play with your toys. I don't want you to bring the toys to my house. I don't want you to make my kids play with the toys. He's like, I don't want your fucking toys. Like it's like just leave it out, you know.
I will say, to its credit, a church atmosphere, probably not religion itself, but a church atmosphere has helped me kind of become more forgiving. Like like one example I can give is I was with my ex-girlfriend. She was very religious. We went to church on Mother's Day, and I hadn't spoken to my mom in maybe like 4 or 5 years because we had a huge falling out. And I went to this like giant cross, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking at like they've got like paper leaves and stuff, like a decoration or whatnot, and it's got Mother's Day handwritten cards hung on them. I'm looking at it all, and I start to like quietly like I feel tears in my eyes, and I start like apologizing, like I should really call my mom. Like I feel really bad. So and that day I fucking called her.
Oh, definitely. I've learned some good lessons in church, but the fact of the matter is...
But it wasn't the church itself. It was something else.
It was just like this atmosphere that I was in.
I will.
I just felt like a little more forgiving, and maybe it was just the decorations, or maybe it was the atmosphere. But
could be.
See, regardless, I was in a church when that happened.
There is something to that. Now, hang on before people get on me, you fucking hypocrite. There is something to that, but I don't think it's God related because I had to do this assignment for a
morality.
class. I had to do it. So I did.
Let me fucking talk.
Let me fucking speak. No. So I had to do this assignment for my diversity and news class, and it involved going into a community that you're really uncomfortable with, and I'm uncomfortable with religious people. So I went to this Methodist church, but they were like, Methodists are like almost atheists. I'm like, yeah, kind of. I didn't know that going in, but I went in. I had to go to multiple sermons. I will say the first time I went in there, I did. You kind of do feel something. I was like, wow, I actually feel like really comfortable here for some fucking reason. But then after the second and third time I went, I was like, I thought about like what had actually been going on in my life. I was like, well, I've 2 years ago I moved away, sort of. So it's like none of my friends are around me. My girlfriend works long hours, so I'm usually alone. Like I've been very lonely. I don't have this like sense of community much anymore. I don't get to talk to people a lot. And it's like, oh, now I'm in a room with a bunch of people who wish me no ill will, and they're all very nice and stuff. So I felt like that very like, oh, I feel okay here. But that wasn't God. That wasn't religion or anything. That was just me going, oh, wow. Like there's people around here that are nice. So that's cool. But then at the second and third time I went, I didn't feel like anything. I was like, I'm like, that's not religion. And to me, that must be what people say. Like, I feel it in my heart. Like when they're like, I feel God's presence on my heart. It's like, you're probably just feeling, whatever it is, but I don't think that's God.
It's interesting that you were comfortable the first time. For me, it was the exact opposite, where I was like, I hadn't been.
Well, that wasn't the first time I'd ever been in a church. I was just saying, when I went in there,
it was the first time in a while, right?
Uh-huh.
So, like, for me, every time, the first time I go into a church after, like, a long lapse, I'm in there and I'm, like, squirming. I'm like, I shouldn't be here.
I usually am not paying attention.
It depends on the kind of church. Honestly, the most uncomfortable is the Catholic Church. And I'll tell you why.
Stop jerking off!
No, I'll tell you why. It's because
I guess I better leave.
They're all about ceremonies and rituals, and it's
standing up.
It's standing up,
Can I
sitting
sit?
down, saying this at this time. It's so
that
uncomfortable.
That in the Catholic Church is just a super corrupt organization that has a long history of influencing governments into war and like the Crusades and all this.
Right.
Like, Jesus, man, like how it. And they also make a shitload of money.
They do,
and they don't say how much, but they make a fuckload. And the head of their like the Vatican it's not even technically in Italy. It's its own fucking country.
It is.
Like that's weird. You know what I mean?
But like other denominations don't make me as uncomfortable. But the Catholic atmosphere is just so uncomfortable and menacing.
Should go to one of those tents in the South where they hold up snakes and they're like healing people in wheelchairs. Like, Jesus, save us.
That's just weird. The people are like, you are blessed.
Yeah.
I will tell you this much. This recent Pope, Francis, right?
Francis, yeah.
Pope Francis is a pretty rad dude.
He's all right.
I don't know. I kind of like John Paul II. JP2.
Oh, my God. He's all right, but people do not like him.
Well, that's because he's the kind of guy that's like, so what? They're gay.
Whatever. Yeah. But I mean,
he's different.
Getting back to what the actual subject
more accepting.
is. The actual subject
what
is
would it take?
What would it take?
So now we've
established.
I
don't actually think there is anything that would convince me, because even if Jesus like came down and was like, hey Josh, how's it going? Like, I'm real. I would probably think that I had a brain tumor before I thought that it was an actual God. You know what I mean? I'd be like, I'm under some kind of misapprehension here. You know?
I think it would take like definitive proof, but even then, that undermines the whole thing of having faith. You know,
which is just believing something without evidence.
Right.
I don't think I'd go so far as Jesus dropping down and being like, hey man.
Well, I'm just saying, like.
I think that would convince me.
Like if the fucking clouds opened up, it was like, hey, how's it going? I'd be like, I would look around and be like, is anyone else seeing this shit? Because probably I'm just fucking flipping out.
Exactly.
Like, here's the thing. Okay, I've had the quote unquote, I don't remember, it's called sleep paralysis. I've had sleep paralysis before, the alien abduction thing. I can tell you, it's fucking scary. But after I woke up, I realized what had happened, and I'm like, oh. I wasn't actually being, I wasn't abducted, but I was in a room. I was in like a hotel room. I think it was when I was in Vegas for my 21st birthday. I was asleep. I woke up and I was, like there's that thing in your brain that clicks on and it keeps you, it paralyzes you while you're asleep so you don't act out your dreams because, it's fucking dangerous. But sometimes you wake up and that doesn't turn off, and that's called sleep paralysis, and it's very rare, but it happened to me once. And I couldn't fucking move. And also when you wake up, your brain still thinks you're sleeping, so you fucking hallucinate. Mm-hmm. And I fucking hallucinated like the wall of the hotel room like opening up and like light coming through, and I just heard all this like, and I scared the shit out of me. But then I like really woke up and realized like, oh, that's what that was. Like that might be like, that's a good explanation for like alien abductions. It's like, why do alien abductions always happen at night?
I actually had sleep paralysis too.
See?
Oh my God.
But you know what it was? Is I was dreaming that fucking Leatherface was chasing me.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to scream, but I couldn't scream.
Yeah, that's sleep paralysis.
Yep.
You can't fucking move.
Time.
You can't do. Yeah. So
that's some scary shit.
If that started happening, I wouldn't think like, holy shit, there truly is a God. I'd be like, I think I need to go to a doctor. Something's wrong. I would be more.
I would just need definite proof, like something you can't refute.
If I could choose my proof, I would go ahead and kill two birds with one stone and answer a second question, which would be, fuck it, stop my heart, kill me for a few minutes, so I can know what is it on the other side. Is there?
Yeah, but even
I
then,
have something like fucking like that fucking scene in Harry Potter where he's the bright white train station with Dumbledore and the fucking fetus under the bench.
Is a fetus what?
Voldemort's soul.
Oh, that's right.
And he's like,
I don't remember
and
that.
you're like,
fetus? I don't know though, fetus.
And you're like,
some
Jesus.
damn gay wizards and their abortions.
And I'm over here like fucking. I'm over here like, Jesus, is this all a dream or is it all in my head? And he's like, of course it's happening inside your head, but why should that mean it's not real?
Because it's in your head.
It sounds like some Matrix shit.
Yeah.
So
it just like I don't like.
But
okay,
like if I just see black, then I know. Fuck you. I'm not dreaming.
But
I'm fucking dead.
I don't. Yeah, but I'm bringing up Christopher Hitchens again, but he has another great line where he says, "What's more likely that all of the laws of nature have been suspended in your favor, or that a Jewish lady told a lie, like that she was a virgin." It's like, what's more likely? It's probably the latter, but
maybe.
I
don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I could talk about this forever, but
we should probably move on to the next subject soon.
Yeah,
so that's pretty much where we
closing
stand on
thoughts. To me, I don't think there's nothing really, unless I don't know what the evidence would look like, but there would have to be some really.
That's what I mean. There'd have to be some definite, irrefutable stuff.
There'd have to be
Something
some
where
pretty.
I'm just like I am not hallucinating.
Pretty much.
And even then, no, it would have to be like some kind of scientific evidence. Like,
well, yeah, something that you can prove
like
scientifically.
Fucking religion's worst enemy.
But even then, I wouldn't. I don't want it to be true. So, and that's a topic for a whole.
That's a whole
another thing. But
okay,
yeah.
Are we done with religion?
I think so. I think we
so.
could go back to something happy.
Okay.